guys. I'm Emma.
And I'm Lakota.
And I'm David.
And I'm Bakari.
So we're here to talk about a specific species of bats, specifically the eastern red bats.
The eastern red bat lives mainly in forests, hedges, and foliage, and unsurprisingly, they live in mainly rural areas.
We found from many sources that the eastern red bats tend to be seen with a more of a rusted red with a white frosted line on their back. Eastern red bats can weigh up to 7 to 13 grams and measuring up to 109 millimeters, or 4.3 inches from head to tail. With that in mind, studies have also showed that the tails can go up to 40.6 millimeters, or 1.6 inches.
Eastern red bats have a main diet that consists of mostly moths, ants, beetles, flies, and other insects they can get a hold of. Eastern red bats have evolved and adapted to consume these insects because they are the most abundant source of food in the rural environments.
Eastern red bats are really good at using their camouflage for protection from predators, by hanging from trees to make them look like a dead leaf or a lonely pine cone in the forest.
The mating season for eastern red bats is between the months of August and September, but the female eastern red bat usually doesn't get pregnant until March or April.
Eastern red bats usually give birth to 2 or 3 babies, but they can have up to 5 children. The babies are born blind and hairless. They often open their eyes after 3 to 4 weeks and start to fly around 5 weeks old.
Eastern red bats are mostly found in the eastern side of North America. Depending upon the season, they might migrate to the Great Lakes region. They migrate to this area so they can find shelter in the trees and feed on the plentiful amount of bugs after they awake from hibernation.
Eastern red bats are found in rural areas because they provide them with a steady source of food in an environment which consists of full, thick trees and shrubs that can protect them from predators.
Sadly, like many other bats, the eastern red bat has been recently infected with the fungus known as the white nose syndrome. White nose syndrome is the result of a white-colored fungus that grows on the muzzle of bats. This fungus causes the hibernating animal to wake up early and waste its fat reserves, causing it to starve to death before spring comes around.
White nose syndrome, otherwise known as WNS, is known to predominantly affect hibernating bats. More than half of the 47 bat species living in the United States and Canada rely on hibernation for winter survival. 11 bat species, including 2 endangered and 1 threatened, have been confirmed with white nose syndrome in North America.
As of 2012, white nose syndrome was estimated to have cost at least 5.7 million to 6.7 million bats deaths in North America. In 2008, bats declined in some cases by more than 90%. Alan Hicks with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation described the impact in 2008 as unprecedented and the gravest threat to bats ever seen.
Biologists of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service have been collecting information at each site in regard to the number of bats affected, to the geographic extent of the outbreaks and samples of affected bats. They develop a geographic database to track the locations of sites where WNS has been found. The Fish and Wildlife Service has been partnering with the Northeastern Cave Conservancy to track movements of cavers that have visited affected sites in New York.